we're gonna be making Elden Ring in Godot. And now, as we all know, Elden Ring is an action RPG game set in a dark fantasy world. Also Game of the Year for 2022, and it's a pretty good game, pretty big game. So now, we know exactly what Elden Ring is, but how exactly do you make Elden Ring? Well, it's easy. All you have to do is to create a player character, make him do some action, put him in a dark fantasy world, and also make it RPG. Now, we both know we cannot do all those things. Like, let's be real here, that's impossible. I can't make the whole game, at least not in my lifetime. So, we simply start by trying to model the world, which is done in Blender, of course. Now, we know that the intro scene is pretty much inside of a building, so we know we should be making a building, a few walls that are very familiar. You can see how I have been able to model a perfect one-to-one copy of the Elden Ring Chapel of Anticipation. This is prime modeling, guys. I totally did not look at any tutorials at all while making this. Next, we go back into Godot to build the player character, which is a beam, as we can see here. And the only problem with this is that I have only ever made games in first person, and when there's a third person camera, it's usually not a good one. You can only move in the direction of the camera, it sucks. Which means I have to think really hard and totally write all the code for that myself. Definitely did not watch this YouTube video right here. Okay, so now as you can see, the game is already 90% complete. I mean, we can walk about. Wow, this is totally how humans walk. Now, I kind of thought we needed some chairs, because in the original game, there's chairs. You know, there has to be chairs in the scene, or else it's not gonna work. So now that chairs are ultimate priority in Elden Ring, we simply go to Sketchfab and join a few chair models, and we put the chairs in the game. A simple rigid body collider and a mesh. It's pretty easy, and then we duplicate it all around the scene, and here we have it. Chairs. Next we add in lights, because that's kind of important. Now the lights are pretty good, they make the scene look brighter, but they also tank my FPS to oblivion, so I'll be putting them off for most of the game. And now we actually work on the player character, who obviously needs to be animated. They're using Rigify, which is an add-on I've never used before. We see a lot of new weird stuff I don't even understand, so I waste a lot of time trying to get a hang of that. And now we have our first idle animation. All we have to do is to add it into the game. So first we export, and then we put it in the game. Wait, what the? So it turns out we should have simply exported the model in GLTF2 format, not the other one. The animation works, so that's cool. It means we could start adding other animations to the game, you know, like walking. So there's a lot of detail that's missing here, so we simply have to add that. And bam, I totally did that in 1 second. Items. The game has items. But then I've not yet created any items, so I guess this was actually pointless for now. I'm just gonna keep it at the corner of the screen there, because I believe there's an item there as well in the game, if my YouTuber playthrough knowledge is intact. I think it's a good time to start making the outside of the map. I try to make it as close to the original game as possible, although it doesn't look like that, but yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. All that's needed is a few texture changes, materials, and all of that stuff, and yeah, it does begin to look quite like the real game, I think. No, not really. It's not like the game at all. And now the game looks like this. The character is a bit different because he has armor on. I don't know if you noticed that. Also, he's got a sword. For some reason, the attack animations with the sword, they don't quite cut it. And that's because they have no trails. but we can add that using a trails add-on from the Godot asset store. It's a pretty good add-on and it makes trails. I think it's about time we actually added enemies to the game so there could be some actual action going on. So now for the first enemy we add in player character, who is just standing there right now. I mean, he doesn't do much, and you might think this guy is a little bit too big to be an enemy in the game. But if you know the game, Elden Ring, you'll notice the player does fight things up like 5 times his size all the time, so I guess this is pretty standard actually. And now we've made our first enemy. And also we definitely do scale the enemy down because maybe it was just a little bit too big. And now we work on the actual combat. We make it possible to take in damage and inflict damage. And next we add in a familiar death screen to the game. And now I thought we were pretty much done with the action RPG-ness of Elden Ring. Let's add in some dark stuff. And I thought, what's darker than an amalgamation of limbs? Looks like a spider. Also, it has swords and is the death of most players at the beginning of the game. It's horrifying. I mean, it looks a bit different from the original, I'd say. But it's not that different. I mean, the wood spider legs, what else? This one doesn't have a cape, but like the head is also kind of different. I guess something's wrong with this Grafted Scion, and it's not just the way it looks. It's absolutely the way it looks. As you can imagine, animating this thing was complete torture for me because it had so many bones, but at the end, it was all worth it. So with that, we now had our first boss that was going to totally kill you in the game. And with that, the game should be complete. I mean, there's not much else in the intro part of Elden Ring. That's where the game ends when you meet Grafted Scion. But that wasn't enough for me. I just thought something was wrong with the game. And that was grass. Yes, I decided to add grass to this game that was already running at 2 frames per second. I wasn't really sure how to do this, but then I just created a multi-mesh instance and populated the entire scene with grass. But then the performance impact was already destroying the game, and so I had to look for better methods. I did find them. I was able to improve on it eventually, and it wasn't destroying the game as much. So we're just gonna kind of forget about the grass for now and work on adding random stuff to the background of the scene. That's not really important. I don't know why I added all this, but it just made it a lot slower to actually run the game, and yeah, it wasn't necessary at all. And now, as we all know, in Elden Ring it's pretty important to touch grace. When you find the side of grace, you can rest at the side of grace, I guess. I don't really know what happened. And with that, the main scene is already done. Next, I made another level because I wanted to actually play around in the game in a scene that doesn't have too much stuff, so the game actually runs smoothly. I also made a new enemy out of the player character by just making this one a lot more buff and adding in fancy animations. This would later turn out to be the pumpkin head. I was just throwing in more stuff to the game at this point, and I decided I might actually be able to make an open world in the game, and maybe I'll call that the end, because I just wanted a reason to stop working on the game at this point. And so that led me to working on a day and night cycle. I thought this was a pretty cool system, so day and night cycle done. All that's left is to actually make an open world. And at some point the game had a bug, a very heavy bug that just made it so that some scenes don't work, and so some things just stopped working in the game. Then again, this could have also been my computer, but the final one was that I somehow managed to delete the game without a backup. So good job me, the game is nowhere to be found. So advice to game devs out there, don't be dumb, do backups, that's kind of important. And yeah, peace. Alright, if you're still there, thank you for watching. I don't know why you're watching horrible FPS footage, but thank you. It's helping me a lot. Algorithm and stuff. Smash subscribe, smash like on the video if you liked it. The game is gone. I can't give you that. But I had a few exported versions that are very old. Doesn't have half of what I had in the game at this point. So yeah, they're there on HIO. And the project is dead. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Smash like, subscribe. Bye.